and then in the end they die anyway, like under a bridge in a bomb blast. This is not a happy ending. Like kaiju movies generally aren't, but they usually end with somehow the monster dies in the end. Either the monster dies or the monster goes away in the end. And then there's a lot of devastation and a whole lot of death. And that's not what happens here. Here, we have one character just outright die, right? Malena just dies. Lily probably escapes, although it's a coin flip, right? Because not all the helicopters who take off actually make it out. And then Hud just gets eaten. And then Rob and Beth kind of die under a bridge, right? Like I said. So this is not a happy ending. There are very few movies that actually shy away from having a happy ending, right? Like they could have escaped, like they could have gotten to a boat and then escaped the island. And then kind of Manhattan gets bombed in the background and the monster dies. And then a whole lot of people have died, but at least Rob and Beth are okay, right? That would have been the standard Hollywood ending, and they don't do it. Instead, they die in a ditch and they kind of record their dying words, which end up in some government file. And the way all this is labeled is kind of grim, like paints a grim picture, right? In the very beginning, there's like a note that says, this video was taken in the area formerly known as Central Park. So this movie actually has a C cinema score, which essentially, like, cinema score is basically a survey they give to moviegoers after they leave the cinema. And it's basically a vibe check. Like how do audiences feel as they walk off the cinema? And people were not feeling it as they walked out of the cinema. And this is why this movie has a C, although it's not a bad, like, I don't think anybody is saying this is a bad movie, right? Like people, like audiences are not lambasting. This has made a whole bunch of money, won a bunch of prizes. You're not giving this a bad rating because it's crap. You're giving it a bad rating because it's a downer ending. You know, I kind of understand why movies tend to not go for the downer ending. Although I think if they did more often, then we would have better movies and the stakes would be higher and we would have a broader range of stories and movies that we can enjoy. And shoehorning movies into kind of the Hollywood ending is kind of something that's kind of a crutch for everybody, where kind of nobody wins. And this movie just refuses to give us the happy ending and was punished for it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think it would make a lot more movies better in terms of its conclusion and how it ends, just because and we have it with the comic book genre when you know the hero is going to win at the end of the day. It sometimes kind of takes away from the stakes, and it takes away from those moments where you're trying to add danger, you're trying to add a level of threat in the movie. But if you know you're going to get the happy ending at the end of it, more often than not, it's just like a bunch of action and you know they're going to be fine at the end of it. So, if it's not done creatively, then it doesn't really move you.
I think the movie is better off for it. Like, if they all just sailed off into the sunset, it would not be a more interesting story.